Hopefully it's going well for everyone. Just a couple things quick. Agenda today, I have BTC here. They're going to do a very quick update, run through some financials. I've kind of shifted a little bit with them and said, let's keep it to about 5 minutes. If you guys have questions, then you can ask, but we're all pretty similar and familiar with how the financials present themselves. And so if we have questions, we can jump out and ask. Then I want to go back and talk a little bit about the Gallagher study that we have discussed, and then also about our proposed incentive. Anything else that needs to be added to today's agenda? Okay, if that's the case, I will turn it over to BTC. You are muted, Alan.
Alan.
Okay, I assume you can hear me now. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can share the report here real quick. Yeah, can you see that now? Okay, so yeah, just real quick, 5 minutes. All of on the compliance page, which you see here, same format as we've used quarter after quarter. As of June 30th, all of the metrics were in compliance with the guidelines specified in the investment policy statement. So no changes or adjustments need to be made for any IPS compliance guidelines. Moving on to the asset allocation. Let me see here. I'm going to skip this page and go right to the performance. So as of June 30th, the market value was 175,146. About a little under 5 million was in money market, about 123 million in fixed income and individual bonds, and then U.S. equities, almost 39 million, and then a little under 8.5 million in foreign equities. So 175,146 as of June 30th. It's down about, not down, but it's about 6 million less at this point. 168,727 due to withdrawals. The market, whether it's the fixed income market or the equity market, has held up pretty well since June. So the decline in the market value down to 168.7 million. That's just mostly due to distributions. So while we're here, let's touch on the performance. The 1-year return of the total fund, 9.4% versus the policy weighted benchmark of 7.8. So good relative performance and absolute performance. Money market is still producing a good yield. Currently, it's about 4.2%. So this return of 4.6 on the money market is going to come down gradually as we move through this year and into next. Fixed income, good healthy returns there due to fluctuations in interest rates, 6.9% return. In the 12-month period ending June 30th, U.S. equities, 15.5% return versus 14.6 for the benchmark. After a pullback in April, the U.S. equity market has been particularly strong. Economic data continues to support a strong market, as well as the potential for a pullback or a cut in the Fed funds rate. All that is very supportive of the equity market at this point. However, lots of volatility out there, whether it's the political environment in the U.S. or the geopolitical environment abroad. Lots of volatility out there and lots of things that could cause the equity market to pull back in the short term. Foreign equities, 19.2%, outpacing U.S. equities so far through not only through the first 6 months, but through the first 8 months of the year. Remains to be seen whether or not that trend is going to continue into next year. So we'll be continuing to monitor that and see if that's the case, but we still remain very bullish on U.S. equities for the long term. So the characteristics haven't changed much. Given that the fixed income allocation is such a large portion of the allocation, I'll just touch on that real quick. The effective duration at 5.6% still is slightly less than the index. And it's likely to remain in that area. I'll put it that way. No other characteristics that we need to touch on today. But before our 5 minutes is up, just want to see if anybody has any questions. Okay, hearing none. I think I successfully stopped sharing. Is that correct? I think so. No, I didn't go. It's still sharing. Let's see here. Wow. Stop sharing. There we go. Okay. Well, hearing no questions, feel free to take it away, Kathy.
All right, thank you. I think the next topic on our agenda is to discuss the Gallagher study. And I first want to start with, I apologize to this group. I had sent out that this was going to go to the board just as a blanket approval when they were approving all the contracts for this upcoming year. And it was pulled from the agenda, and I found out much later that it was pulled from the agenda. I didn't realize it was pulled. So it never went for approval. And so we need to revisit that as a group and make sure that that's what we want. Since we met the last time, Brad and Lucy had reviewed kind of the report and sent some suggestions. One being that on the slides from Gallagher, if they could very briefly put key takeaways from those slides. So put it in more common language and say on, on this slide, there's these two key takeaways from this slide to make it a more user-friendly document. We reached out to Gallagher and they gave us a sample of one that they could do. And I think they're willing to do that. I've also reached out to them, again, based on some comments from Brad and Lucy, to make sure that they are clear on the scope of this work, that not only do we want this whole study to be about, our asset mix and how it impacts the plan, but we don't want it to focus just on the funding of the plan. We want it to also focus on participant experience. So what we don't want to do is do this whole study and that says, yeah, if you do this, it'll increase the funding. Well, that's great, but what does it do to the participant experience, specifically looking at groups of participants? So does one group of participants shoulder more risk or get more benefit than others? And point that out and kind of walk us through those types of things. So that was another thing I want to make sure. My biggest, I think, learned experience from the last study that we did is let's try to be very clear on what we're looking for outcomes and hold them accountable through the process for those outcomes. That being said, the study is estimated to be $75,000. That would come from DMTRS plan assets. And I just want to get a pulse from this group and ultimately probably a vote from this group on how you feel about moving forward with that.
My vote is unchanged. It's an approval of moving forward.
Do we just want to take a vote with a show of hands? Who's in favor of moving forward? If you can just do your little hand thing or raise your hand, I don't care. Or if anybody is opposed to or has concerns with, speak now. So I will get this in the form, I think I will get it in a form to go to the board for approval as a consent item. Again, it's going to be coming out of planned funds, so it shouldn't be of a major concern to them from a monetary perspective. But again, I think it's best that we get their approval to do that, and we will start embarking on that work. As we start on that work, what I think I'd like to do is have some check-ins with Gallagher along the way, so they don't get down the path and present us with a final product and it's not what we want. So trying to do some check-ins along the way. It might be just some small check-ins that maybe I pick Brad and Lucy's brains and have them come to the table, as I think they can probably provide the most background and knowledge of what we're looking for on that. That's kind of my plan.
Kathy, and I just want to confirm, I recall when I read that Gallagher's document that they planned for those checkpoints, and so those in a sense are included in the fee structure. Does that sound correct?
It does. I'm not sure that they planned for as many as we might want, but again, I'll have that conversation with them going in. I don't want any surprises, but I also want a product that gets us what we want. So I will work on that to get that for board approval. I think the next topic on our agenda is something that Blake brought up.
Well-
Blake, I will let you
Quick,
take that away.
before you bring that up, let me just
Okay.
say, Kathy, I think it's very important that we are very clear about what we want. If we're gonna spend this kind of money, we need to make sure that we're very clear about what we're getting for that cost. I feel like the last time we spent money and I didn't feel like we got really anything out of that. And that just sort of makes me feel a little sick.
Right, I agree. I 100% agree. I think that was a very bad experience for all of us, something that we hope we don't ever repeat. And so hopefully I can take those lessons learned and move forward and get us a better product.
Can I just ask, because unfortunately I missed the last meeting. What are the benefits of the Gallagher study? Well, I mean, like, why are we wanting this?
Brad, can you articulate it better than I do? If you wouldn't mind giving a brief summary, you do it really well.
Oh, sure. Set the bar nice and high for me. Uh, yeah, so high level, there's been a discussion over the years around the right asset allocation target for this fund. If you look back 10, 15 years ago, we were very heavily focused on high yields fixed income and very little on equities. I think it was 90% plus fixed income, which made a lot of sense if you go back into the 90s and 80s when interest rates were in the mid to upper single digits, in some scenarios in the low double digits. You can get a competitive return. Fast forward to post 2008, interest rates were very low, and you started to see, a big divergence between plan or policyholder outcomes between IPERS and this plan, driven in my perspective primarily by asset allocation decisions. We lagged behind in total asset returns over that period of time, largely because we were slow, I think, historically to rotate into a more appropriate investment mix. Now, I don't want to jump the gun and go all the way to let's go all to equities, because we do have an increasing percentage of retirees in our participant base. And as you get into a plan with more and more retirees, it's more appropriate to have a more stable, secure, fixed income type asset allocation. But the real question here is, what is the right asset allocation mix given our policyholder mix today? And how do we optimize our asset allocation targets to improve stakeholder outcomes? Primarily the policyholders, the teachers, but also the district, the taxpayers, and everybody else. Right. So it's giving our investment partners at BTC more confidence in the target that they're being asked to hit. So whether that's 30% fixed income and 70% equity and other risk type assets, or flip that, I guess, 70%, 30. Don't want to get Blake too excited about going all the equities here, but it's giving them confidence in the target they're being asked to hit, and giving us all that confidence as well. We think we're not too far off from that target today, but we would feel a lot better if we had trusted actuaries studying this, explaining the upside and the downside to us, and telling us what is best for the teachers.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Hope I cleared the bar, Kathy.
You did.
All right, I'm going to jump on and talk about the retirement incentive. And Kathy, if I say something that is incorrect or that you have insider information, please, by all means, mute me, block me, whatever you need to do. But as a committee, honestly, since I started about 8 years ago, we identified that a retirement incentive where we can use, or where the school board can use the management fund, is probably the best leverage point that we have year over year to provide some additional financial support for DMTRS members, given that we know the pension gap deficit between IPERS and DMTRS. And last year there was an offer.
Thing to you.
Say again?
You were frozen and I didn't do anything. I didn't touch you.
Am I unfrozen now?
You are.
Okay,
Did
good.
you
All right.
freeze for everybody else? Oh, it was just me.
It
Maybe
was
it's
clear for
the,
me. Yeah.
okay, maybe it's the pounding outside my door. Who knows?
And so we've historically identified that, and last year the board of directors did support and ultimately pass the offering for a retirement incentive. The behind the scenes, there was a discussion of many of us on this committee with management in hopes, and I'm going to use the word in hopes, it was never a promise or a commitment, that we would make decisions early for kind of each year and create this sort of ongoing dialogue and conversation. I am not aware of if those conversations have happened over the summertime, but it would be my position that our role as a DMTRS advisory board would be, and I will make the motion in a little bit, to make a recommendation to Dr. Roberts and to the school board that a retirement incentive, the exact same structure that has been offered because conditions haven't changed to warrant to increase the amount or decrease the amount, that we as an advisory board would make a motion to recommend to them that the retirement incentive in fact be offered again for retirement on June 30, 2026. And that the best we can do is just keep recommending that if that is the best tool that we have to help close the pension gap, especially while we wait for other possible options that hopefully the BTC and Gallagher studies and that work together will help us. But in the short term, this is the best tool that we have. And so I'm going to make a motion that the DMTRS advisory board recommend to Dr. Roberts and to the school board that the retirement incentive structure, as was identified in 2025, be offered for the retirement of teachers and DMTRS members, actives, eligible June 30, 2026. That is my motion.
Is there any discussion regarding that motion? I see Doug Smith has a hand up.
I would say, can we get a
Can I get a
second?
second? Yeah, can we get a
Yep.
second and then we can, thanks,
I
Rosie.
second the motion.
Okay,
Thank you.
Kathy, I was just going to say, I don't know if you have an update. When I met with the new chief of HR last week, this was an agenda item on my meeting. And she told me that she was taking that to Dr. Roberts after our meeting and that it would be put on the executive cabinet agenda. But just, I don't know if you have an update beyond that Friday meeting.
I don't. And I know that she has been out of the office.
Yeah, she comes
So-
back next Monday, so we won't know until then. I
Right.
guess.
Right.
But I would say this would be a great work and support of our annual efforts, it would say.
Yeah, I think us approving the motion doesn't defeat any of the work that the executive cabinet may do. In fact, I hope it reinforces.
Jessica?
Yeah, here's my question. Can we please restate what the structure was so that everybody's on the same page?
Right, the current structure is a $50,000 lump sum, and then is it 1,500? I can't remember, 2,500.
2,500.
It's 25, thank you. It's 2,500 per year of service, and that's full-time year of service. So if you are a partial FTE, that's prorated. One thing that I would maybe like to tweak a little bit in the documentation of the plan that they agree to would be regarding the reemployment portion. I feel like there's a lot of individuals that have taken this incentive that have come back in different capacities other than a sub. And I think we might want to look at that and how that's worded.
Could we word it moving forward similar to the one that other administrators were offered last year where they couldn't come back?
It required the, it said that you could come back as a substitute. If there's any other position, it needed the approval of the chief of HR. And it looked like there was a lot of positions that were approved to come back. And in fact, a lot of them were approved to come back into positions before the school year was even up and they had retired. So it just felt, I don't know, from a public perspective, it just didn't feel right to me. If, you know, someone from the public looks and says, hey, you got paid X amount of dollars as a retirement incentive, and you'd already agreed to come back before the, you know, you left, that doesn't feel right. I know it went through a process and they were, you know, there was a need and that's why they were hired back. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have been. I'm just saying maybe we need to strengthen that wording or at least look at that process so it's a little bit more clear.
Have you had conversations with Josie about that since the new chief of HR has taken on? Because I haven't
Yes.
and would put it on agenda.
Yes, I believe, and I also believe Shashank has had some conversations around that. But again, I think it just needs to be worded differently, and our process needs to follow whatever we have in writing going forward. Because I don't think that's the intent of it is, here, we're gonna pay you an incentive and you can turn around and come back. I don't think that that's the intent. I think, yes, we're happy to have you come back as a sub, but really, we want you to retire and go and enjoy your retirement. And that's part of it, so. Melissa, did you have a question earlier?
Nope. I was just
Okay.
nodding along, but yeah, that all
Okay.
sounds great.
As far as this incentive, if we call this to a vote to see, first of all, if we're going to move it forward, and then if we do decide to move forward, Blake, would you be willing to write this up to be presented to the superintendent?
Yes, I would send it to the superintendent and all 7 board members. I would send it to this body first to make sure that it is good and is written the way you want, and then I would send it to the superintendent and to the board.
I would also just be remiss if I didn't say I apologize if I jumped the gun by adding that on my meeting agenda of advocating for that. This probably should have happened first, so I do apologize for that.
That's okay.
Well, I think, to be honest, Doug, this committee has supported it from the get-go. I'm not sure that this motion and action isn't duplicative. The only thing is, we do elect different members on this committee every year. So I think there's an element of us voting on it every year is probably better than not, and then just making an assumption.
Are we ready to call it to vote? Rosie, do you want to do the honors?
I will. Ms. Spencer?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Ms. Gogarty? Dr. Gogarty?
Yes.
Okay. We have Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Ms. Van?
Yes.
Mr. Bright?
Yes.
And I don't recognize
That's it.
the other name. Okay, the other one's the attendee. Okay, thank you. And opposed passes.
Okay. Blake, if you want to get that written up and submit.
Now, by magic, we made Kathy freeze.
Or if we submitted it to all. Do you remember?
Say that
Sorry,
again.
Kathy, you froze.
I'm
You froze
frozen,
half-
okay.
We got half a sentence, though.
I think it's the construction outside where they're pounding these huge metal beams into the ground, and it's interesting. It's fun to watch. I don't remember, previously, did we take it to the superintendent and then the superintendent presented it to the board, or did we present to all? I don't remember the actual process.
I'm not 100% certain. I'm not going to lie. I feel like every time I endorse or we recommended something, I've always sent it to the board as well. And I say that because, we're in this weird situation where the plan document would tell us everything goes straight to the board, but the board governance would tell us that it goes to the superintendent. So there's conflictual. The motion we just passed was that it would go to Dr. Roberts and to the school board. And so because of that motion, my intent would be
Okay.
that we would just send it to all 8. I think as the message would go to the board, I could put a note on there to say, this has gone to Dr. Roberts. This is really for your information because you are the fiduciary responsible bodies of the DMTRS as the plan executors.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we're consistent and, or at least consistently inconsistent or whatever. Going forward on this, it is hard because like you said, they do kind of conflict with each other. One says, go to the board and one says, go through Dr. Roberts. So I don't know. I guess it can't hurt to send it to Dr. Roberts and copy the whole board in so that I know. Other items real quick. Annual meeting, last year we had in November.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of better ways to do annual meeting. I just feel like it's not very engaging or it should be the members meeting and it just doesn't feel like it. It just feels like, here you go, we're going to read the financials to you. We're going to tell you a few things that have happened. And we're going to vote and you're going to leave. And I don't know what else to do to make it different, but I am completely open to suggestions. You guys are the educators and are better at the presentation and educating others. So just, again, I'm open to things. If you want to brainstorm or if anybody has ideas now, I'm willing to take any suggestions.
One suggestion I've wondered as we meet, and I know there's always an imbalance in terms of members, is do we have sort of the information portion of the meeting and then have like a breakout where active members can meet with the 3 active representatives, retired members can meet with the retired representatives, community members can meet with the community members. That'll be a small group. But just for the purpose of, number 1, connecting, number 2, checking on, the priorities, the information that you just heard. Does that allow us to kind of create a constituent base and connection that maybe is lacking in the structure that we've had before? So I guess I'd maybe throw that out there as potential to do some breakouts.
I do
really
like
like
that.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Kathy.
I do remember meeting in the past when we did like the actives at the first part and or the retires at the beginning and then the common part in the middle and then the actives at the end. And I felt like that was a good thing, but we just don't have enough material to do it that way now. That was during the very turmoil days. And so there was a lot of material and a lot of different interests, but I like that. And I like connecting them to their representative. I think that would be really good. Melissa, go ahead now.
No, I'm just going to echo that. I really think it'd be great for them to know who the advisory committee members are for their particular area. So yeah, I think that'd be great. And like inactive actives, although I'm still technically that because now that I come back, I went to IFR, so like that would be great to do with like the community members and stuff like that.
I think it's a great idea. Oh, go ahead, Lola.
I was going to say, so if we do that, it seems like we're having an in-person meeting. To me, in my narrow mind of all the computer stuff, it's easier, but I don't know, you might say, oh, it's just as easy doing it online. But so I'm wondering, and then if we're saying, okay, it's in November, we know that the weather are riskier weather-wise for people attending. I mean, I don't mean to be a naysayer. I'm just curious about your thoughts about meeting, how.
And we had looked at moving it up before, but by the time the annual report is done and certified and approved by the board, you're running, September, October, and then to turn around and get invite. I just want to make sure that we have everything prepared. So that's why we did November. We did in person. It's difficult and there are people that would like to attend virtually. It's hard to do that in our facilities that we have. So we did Kurt's last year and it's difficult to do an online option from there. I'm trying to figure out what the best way is, or do we hold an in-person and then I do an online session for those that wanted to do online and just do a Teams meeting follow it up the day after or whatever.
Kathy, what I was just going to share is where Blake stole this amazing idea is how we do rep assembly at DMEA. We break into elementary, middle, high, and CSS and meet with your director and your exec board liaisons. And it works really well. And what I have always said is when we do it, because we have 2 meetings a year in person and the rest is virtual. The in-person ones, while there's a virtual option to attend, if you want to participate, you have to be there. And I get you could go above and beyond that and offer a virtual separate option, but we've just never done that. And then I think to address the weather part that Lola brings up that is valid, I think, if it's one of those where the weather's bad, if there's an adjusted dismissal or if school's canceled, we'll reach out and cancel the meeting. I mean, we're not going to do it where it's not safe for anybody to be there, but that's how
Right.
we handle it.
So are you saying you're throwing out the thought that we meet in person with
Correct. Yeah, no, I think I
okay.
think they would see great value in that.
Are things improved anymore, Kathy, about a location where we could meet in person but have the online availability at the same time?
Not really. Rosie, you probably know more about the online capabilities because you've done more district-wide meetings. I think it's difficult. I think you can do that they can listen to the content, but as far as participating in content is very difficult.
Okay,
Correct. Yeah.
okay.
We can record it, but there's not a lot of interaction back and forth. So we have
Yeah.
the owl that would record the room, but it doesn't work very well.
Basically the same as what we've encountered every time we think about it. It's just like, it's either this or that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks for clarifying. I just thought maybe, in a year's time, something has happened.
Honestly, I'd say it's going out of fashion because they're requiring everybody really to do things in person again. And so it's really kind of gone back to the old way where the virtual option is becoming less and less available.
Mhm.
I like the idea of having it in person and then offering an online for people that want it the following day, just to get the information.
Ooh, I like that.
And I think we could still, as committee members, make ourselves available to that online one too, if we want to at least have a chance for them to connect with us. And I'm not sure how we do we do the online one with Teams or Zoom? Because if we do Zoom, there's a way to do breakout sessions even with that, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, I think we'll need to explore it a little bit more.
Mhm.
You can do breakout sessions in Teams as well.
Would it
I
be a
see.
full meeting or would it be where it's streamed out like we've always done and it's just if they have questions for the committee as a whole? Because I didn't think it would be a duplicative additional meeting, or am I mistaken?
I really like the idea of having it recorded so that those who can't be there for whatever reason, infirmary, injury, just don't want to get out, don't have the time, they have an appointment, whatever, they can still get the same information delivered in the same way.
Right.
So I like that idea. For the answer question part, I think that has to be done in person. You have to be there to participate. But if you have follow-up questions and you're just watching the video, then that's when you can reach out. We say, okay, at the end of the video, here's the email addresses of people that you talked to.
Yeah, I was going to echo the same thing. I think we record the content so that the message is exactly the same, is consistent. At the end of the video, we put on the screen the active members' contacts, create, a channel, a direct channel of communication. I think that creating a separate meeting, I think is going to be difficult for all of us to attend back-to-back days with meetings. And then you just run into the issue where the message might get mixed and lost. I like the idea of recording and having our contacts clearly provided to everyone.
Okay. I am very willing to become more techie savvy. So anything anybody's willing to do to help me to be more efficient, that would be wonderful. I'm up for it anyway. So if that's what we do requires of us.
Rosie, you have your assistant. Lola's going to help you.
Oh, poor Rose.
I love it.
I apologize. I turned my camera off because every time I turn it on, everybody keeps freezing. So I don't know. Rosie, we're in the same building. It's weird how it's working for you and not for me, but
Mhm.
so I'll keep exploring ideas for annual meeting. I do like a lot of these suggestions. I think are really good. Like to get that information nailed down here soon so we can get information out to participants and people can plan and we can make plans. Did anybody receive any feedback from the location last year? We had it at Kurt's.
Do we have a date?
Yeah,
Need
I
to
was going to
check.
ask that too, because that first week of November is not a great week because there's days off. And so I think we've got to jumping probably to the second week of November might be the only option in November, because then you're getting close to Thanksgiving. And so that November 11, 12, 13 might be our only real good hits.
I have our quarterly meeting is scheduled for November 12th. So I think we had talked about that would be the annual meeting.
Okay.
So I need to look into
Okay.
location, see if Kurt's is available and do some work on that. But I only had one retiree that contacted me and she didn't like the location. It was too far for her to travel. She didn't like the last location either. I volunteered to go get her if she needs a ride. So
I just think one of the benefits is that is one of the shortest walks from parking lot to meeting room that the district has. But I understand,
Exactly.
I think there's better spaces, but that's probably the most accessible with ample parking for what we need.
But one good thing is when we reserve that room is we can divide it into two spaces if we need to be able to create two breakout rooms when we need that.
right. Okay, well, that's what we'll plan on. I'll see if it's not available, then I'll have to pivot, but right now that will be our plan. I'll work on getting some of that stuff in place. I believe that is our next regularly scheduled meeting. Prior to that, Blake will be sending us the information to go to Dr. Roberts and to the board. And I will be getting an agenda item ready for Rosie for approval of the Gallagher study. Anything else that's pending? We will need to look at annual meeting time, so I will be reaching out to all of you. Elections again. It's that lovely time of year. So I'll reach out to those of you. I need to look and see whose terms expire and who would be up for election.
Might be me. I'm not sure.
So I'll take a look. I honestly, I need to do better at knowing who's cycle through, but I'll reach out and let people know.
Kathy, do we have the report that goes to the school board, the DMTRS annual report?
It is not done yet. We're waiting on the actuary right now.
Can you send that to us before it goes to the board?
Yes.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yes. And
can
I don't
you
know, maybe
remind
I'll
me again
go
what
ahead,
the
Barb.
earning rate, what was the earning rate this year?
So the information I just got from Ben said he was looking at 6% again. That's what it was
Okay.
last year. But he hadn't done excess earnings yet. So I don't know what that calculation is. As soon as I get that, I will send it out to this committee. I
Okay.
don't know if you guys want to have just a real quick pull together meeting of this is it, or if you just want me to send it out, the report, and have you review it and contact me if you have questions.
I'm good with having you send it out.
I am too. I am too.
Okay, I will plan to do that. I'll plan to send it out with the report, excess earnings, et cetera, anything that would be going to the board for approval to you guys prior.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, if that's anything for the agenda, take a note at what time it is. This is amazing. And everybody go enjoy your evening.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thanks.